Today we're setting the stage for a Asian area for Naturalis with a snow leopard habitat. Alright, so the idea for the snow leopard habitat was just that we're going into the mountains. Because I really wanted to play a lot more with like height differences and height variation, even if that means that I have to put in quite a few wheelchair elevators or lifts. But I actually enjoy building those, so yeah. And it's also just playing with height differences makes things interesting, even if there's like not like a spectacular build. Just because it's like higher, it makes it just more prominent. So whatever I put on top of this hill is going to look more impressive, even if it's not that much of an impressive building if you just put it on a flat place. So that's the entire idea for the snow leopard habitat. That's like, it's the habitat that leads into like a mountainous area. And then the entire idea of the mountainous area is that on the other side, we're going into the Southeast Asian area, which is where I'm finally going to be able to use some of the animals from the tropical pack, because I have built something for the warthog, I want to say, the hawk, and then just completely dropped that. Well, actually, I really love the plants from the tropical pack. But anyways, moving back onto the habitat, because, so as I said, the entire idea is like, oh, this is the mountains. After the mountains, we get the Southeast Asian area because it like nicely connects in my brain. And so now we are starting a mountainous area. But we're also like the entire inspiration for the snow leopard habitat, and actually the entire like Asian area for Naturalis is kind of a mashup between Chinese architecture and Japanese. So you will see like moon gates in the same place as like a torii gate, even though, like as mentioned, one is Japanese, the other one is Chinese, but it's just going to be kind of a mashup of those architectural styles. But when it came to the snow leopard habitat, it was just, well, it is a mix-up of those two styles, but I wanted to do nice curves and such. Like as soon as you get higher up, as soon as you are up the stairs, it's just this nice sort of, not boulevard, I think not boulevard thing, but just a nice little walkway that curves around the habitat. And then I realized I didn't have enough space for the snow leopards. And so I made this little alcove into the wall, because snow leopards, they want to sleep in a place where they have like a nice field of view so that they can like spot any danger. So it kind of worked out, but I might make it so that the snow leopards are one of the last animals that actually get a habitat that's the correct size for them. Because here's the thing, I usually like to make habitats that kind of take into account the animals' like habitat requirements when it comes to pantsu. But then I realized, A, it's prohibiting me from building things that I would really like to build, just because like their hitboxes don't really align well, because a fucking stick can make their hitboxes freak out. And then the other thing is like, oh yeah, in real zoos, usually the animals don't really have like the right size habitat. Like the primary example of that is like when the polar bears came out, their size requirements when it came to their habitats were huge. Like no zoo in real life would have that. And they have toned that down, but I still think it's pretty huge. But anyways, so when it came to the actual habitat building, I am actually watching other content creators for like ideas, because I am not good with rock building, or rock work as I'm calling it, which is probably not the correct word for it. But I'm looking at Caesar Creates when it came to like rock work, because I am not good at that. When I need to do rock work, my brain just shuts off, because it's a squirrel, it doesn't like doing rock work. So I'm kind of like, all right, how does Caesar make his, I hope it's pronounced Caesar's, it just blopped into my brain. This is a weird thing, and just a slight tangent, I am so getting used to like watching videos on like 1.5 speed, most times 2 times speed. So most people to me sound like chipmunks now, or at least whenever I think of any other content creator, it's just like, oh yeah, that chipmunk. Because when you speed someone up, the voice just completely just crashes basically. Because I have the patience of But anyways, when it came to like the rock work, I basically took like a page out of like how he does it, and then kind of think like, all right, how would I use that technique but still make it my own? I also recently watched a video of Leaf where he called it like Leaf Spunk, and now I just can't get that out of my head because it sounds dirty. Because I have the brain of a 13-year-old sometimes. But yeah, not Poison Spunk, because no, it's just how I would do rock work, but using like Caesar's technique, which I'm still unsure if that's how you pronounce it, because Leaf sounds very fun on 2x speed. And sometimes I'm just like building and not really paying attention, so I just, for some reason, just mentally just completely block out any sounds. Or at least don't remember any sound. So I hope it's pronounced Caesar. Again, chipmunks. 2x speed. I don't know how I process any information because it goes way too fast to really pay attention, but somehow it works for me. Anyways, now to the height variation that I mentioned earlier, because I need to put in a lot of lifts and elevators, because yeah, wheelchairs can't really get over stairs, and people with like mobility issues, or we use like crutches, not that they are like separate, but or don't have to be, but it's better if you then also have just like wheelchair, or not wheelchair, but like, well, wheelchair elevators or lifts, or just for people with mobility issues, so that they don't have to take the stairs. It could also be like, oh, your elderly grandma who is like tired after they can use this. They just need to get like a pass at like the front gate so that the Karens aren't using this. Because you know that like there will be a Karen that is just like, yeah, my kid wants to use the elevator, when there's an actual person in like a wheelchair who legit has trouble getting up the stairs for any other like actual real reason except of like the Karen with her kid who's just like, my kid is tired, my kid wants to use the elevator because it looks fun. No, bitch, this elevator or lift is for people who actually need to use it. I don't like Karens, but I think you already noticed that. But anyways, I always do this when it came to the platform for my elevators or lifts, and that's putting the fencing, like the chain fencing, down, because I really like building those platforms out of like the shiny metal. But it's the Netherlands, which means it rains. If it's not raining and you're not in the Netherlands, where the hell are you? But that also means, because I don't like to like cover up my stairs, I don't want to have like a roof over it. It just, I don't know, for some reason I like it better when they're just open to the sky. But that means that these places could get slippery, especially when you have like a shiny metal platform and you don't want to fall in an elevator or a lift, especially when you're on crutches, or for any or like an elderly person. Like, you don't want them to slip and fall. So the idea behind putting that chain link fence on the ground or the platform is just that there's like some texture, so that it, like, even when it's rainy, it's not slippery. That's the entire idea of it, so that you don't trip and fall. Also, yes, I am saying like, oh yeah, I'm taking accessibility and like mobility into account, and it's just, I'm just going to be honest, because I'm a squirrel and I don't take as much serious as I should. But for the longest time, when I was building the wheelchair lift or staircase, forgot the word for it, but for the longest time I just thought this would be a great slide because it's shiny and it just reminded me of a slide. Anyways, now back on the rain part, because as I said, it's the Netherlands, it's going to rain. So the one thing that I felt was missing in Naturalis was canopies, places where you can hide from the rain, where you can still watch the animals, and it's not like, oh, you need to go inside, but just a place where you could shelter from the rain. When it comes to the Asian area, I really wanted to do this, like, when it came to the first one, do this kind of idea of like a moon gate, I think that's how they are called, but then do it like very modern, very sleek. which is kind of a thing that I always kind of struggled with early on when it came to modern stuff, because a lot of modern stuff starts to look similar. Like a lot of skyscrapers, like pick a skyscraper in New York, Shanghai, South Africa. I don't know why I went from like cities to an entire country, or like Cairo, Amsterdam, maybe take a skyscraper out of Sydney just for fun. And they're usually kind of the same, where it's just a giant glass tower. So I really like it to like get those like go on Pinterest and just find those modern architectural stuff where you actually see like, oh yeah, this is like taking culture into account. Like this is definitely a modern building, but it's like it's China, just modern. Or it's like, oh, I think that's the reason why I really love like Wakanda from Black Panther. Still haven't seen the full movie, so you can crucify me in the comments, but it's like, yeah, it's modern, but you can still see like the cultural heritage of everything, which is something that I struggled with early on when it came to modern stuff, because for me, modern stuff was just glass, metal, and concrete. And now I'm like finally like, yes, there's so much stuff that you can still do with modern buildings, and you can still see like where it's coming from, what culture is behind it and such. Yeah, finally my Pinterest board is starting to reflect that, and it's not just like, yeah, glass, concrete, metal. Also, just like my Pinterest board is just chaos, because I have like 200 images. Like I recently went through it and like sorted it all of like, oh yeah, the mountainous area is going to lead into the Southeast Asian area. What kind of style would I want to draw on from there? And such, like sorting all of like the hundreds of pictures into different categories for like different areas. The African category or like board is also getting quite large, but it's gotten to be something. I think like in total there's like more than 300-400 images there, and like a lot of them I just like take little hints of like, oh yeah, I like that roof structure there, but I want to do these walls from this picture, and it's just like an amalgamation. So I would really love to like be able to show like, oh, these are the reference images that I used, and then I'm just like, yeah, half of the time I don't even know. It's just like, yeah, this, and I don't think you guys need to see like an entire like spreadsheet of like all of the images, and half of them I've forgotten, and they just sort of come back into my brain for some reason at like an ungodly hour, which is usually 3 a.m. in the morning, because for some reason my brain is the most creative 3 a.m. in the morning. Anyways, so we have made one canopy, which the inspiration was kind of a moon gate, which I don't know if it's the correct name, or yeah, correct name for the kind of gates. So please let me know. I do think that's like a moon gate is like more of a Chinese thing, and then what we're building now is inspired by a Torii gate, which I hope again that I'm using the correct name for. I've basically been living under a rock for the last 2-3 weeks because I had a big presentation for work, and now I'm all set to graduate in 3 months, so I'm very happy. But it does mean that my brain has basically been on shutdown mode for the last few weeks. But yeah, so here, canopy, Torii gate inspiration, and I wanted to make this a little bit Instagram worthy, which just sounds really weird, but it is something that we kind of think about when it comes to design of like, oh, are people going to take pictures here and such? But the entire idea was just like, all right, we have this glass roof and such. Yes, we could look up at the sky, but I wanted to do something interesting with lights and such. So you will see that in the end result, but I'm not completely sure I will keep it because it kind of feels busy. And like so far, when it comes to the Asian area, I am going to redo the Red Panda habitat. Or actually, I'm going to give them a new habitat in this new area, because I feel like I could do them like better and like give their original habitat to some other European animal, because usually those are just kind of thrown in randomly in zoos here. Like we'll have like, this is like a fun thing when it comes to maybe not European zoos, but like the Dutch zoos that I've gone to. It's like you have an area for like well, an Asian area, an African savanna area, and like all of these different areas. And then European animals are just strewn about randomly. It's just like, yeah, here you have red pandas and giant pandas. Next to it, a deer. Completely not themed at all. And like all the other areas are completely themed. Random European animal. Just, it's very fun to me. Anyways, as I said, when it came to architecture such, when I really started getting into modern stuff, the big trouble was just like, oh yeah, modern stuff is just glass, metal, and concrete. And as I said, like I really like that, like I'm now really finding like the architectural like pictures and inspo on Pinterest. Not that it's like a recent thing, it's just that I haven't been looking correctly. But now I'm like really finding those things where you can really see the cultural heritage of a building. Like you can really see like, oh yeah, this is definitely drawing on the cultural heritage of that area, such as like a very modern building, but you can definitely see like this is drawing on Chinese heritage, Chinese culture, Chinese heritage or history. That I don't know why I want to keep saying heritage, or like, oh, Japanese, or like the, I really like that. So when it came to the toilet building, this really sounds bad. Of like, yeah, toilet building, that's the first one where we're going to really use that. But the point here was that like, I really like that architecture and such. However, this area really needed a toilet building. And here's the thing, when it comes to toilet buildings, it's really fun to like sort of experiment, because the regular toilet building is just a box. So for me, it's like really interesting to, especially with toilet buildings, experiment, trying out different styles and such, and really make it an interesting thing. Not like the most interesting thing, like it's not supposed to like draw you from across the zoo, but just when you're there, you're just like, huh, this looks pretty. Anyway, when it came to like the roof structure, I tried something that I used with the starfish building or starfish roof in an Australian build with the, I think, wallabies, or just kangaroos, different kind of kangaroos, but I used the same technique here. I don't know if it works the best. It was kind of a hassle when I was building, so I might go to like my old technique, which is just like place one like angle of the roof, or just one piece of the roof, and then just morph it is not the right word, but just move it about, instead of like placing this entire like section and then moving that, and then you can duplicate the section around. It's a little bit of a hassle, and maybe like it works good for you guys, but for me, like my squirrel brain is just like, no, too much work, not enough freedom. Sometimes my squirrel brain, although I've been hitting the gym again, because yeah, a big presentation leads to living under a rock for a few weeks, which also means having no energy whatsoever for any kind of gym or just sport. And yes, it was legit. The presentation that I had Monday, not the Monday that you're watching this, the previous Monday, actually determined if I was going to graduate in 3 months. And I am going to. So I'm very happy. Anyways, throw a chicken nugget at the like button, also maybe at the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.